I knew I was going to be judged regardless. I'm 6'8", black man. Of
Hmm.
course, there's a lot of people doing really big things with either not a lot of money or just not the best credit. So home purchasing is not for just for people that have 800 credit scores and
Yeah.
$200,000 in the bank. It's literally for everybody.
Building with us today is one of the best mortgage lenders in Baltimore City. I discovered this guy earlier this year, just strictly off of his online presence and how great he leveraged his personal brand into his professional business, which is mortgage lending. Today I have with me the mortgage gentleman, Greg Lewis. Greg, what's up, man? How you feel?
Feeling good, bro. I appreciate you having me, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking time to do this. So just full disclosure here, everybody, Greg and I recorded this before, but just to let you know that the level of commitment he got to this pod is the level of commitment you're going to get if you're working with him in his professional services as a mortgage lender. So let's dive right into mortgage lending because a lot of people don't know about the mortgage game, how to get into it. So tell us how you found your way into becoming a mortgage officer and lender or
Yeah, yeah,
consultant.
yeah. I call it the best accident ever for me personally, at least thus far in my lifetime. I'm a former basketball player. Anyone in the DMV known me all the way up until maybe 2017. Usually, they more than likely know me from basketball. I like to think I was pretty good in high school. I played college. Professional basketball didn't work out for me
Mm.
the ways that I wanted to. And I knew that my trajectory with basketball, that window was becoming shorter and shorter. So, make a long story short, I switched over to the corporate world. Was trying to find my footing in corporate. I wasn't able to find my placement, but then met a guy that Gabe Dutton, started planting seeds about real estate investing, and then that inspired me to get licensed as a loan officer. Initially, it was just probably more self motivated, just self driven, an endeavor where I just wanted to learn about loans, honestly, to just to further my real estate investing career. But
Okay.
then later learned that I could make a career out of this, and I've been here ever since, going on 6 years now.
Nice. Well, congratulations, man. Anytime you get over 5 years in a thing, like one, you already seasoned, you're a vet, but and that's more commitment than most people. So what made were you interested in loans? So that just seemed to be more appealing to you than actually maybe doing real estate or like being a realtor or anything.
Yeah, I think it matched my personality more, contrary to probably my just surface level imagery. I really don't like to be in the spotlight.
Hmm.
Contrary to what it may appear, but I think lending matches that tempo, where lenders were usually in the background, just crunching numbers, typically not on the closing pitches with the keys. The
Yeah.
limelight is usually not on us. So for me, I wasn't in the forefront. Again, just matching my personality, so it fit. But also the other side is I'm in like knee deep into just guidelines, laws, like as laws change about how to invest, how to just acquire properties. I'm usually getting that information first.
Okay, nice. See, I didn't know that that's a part of the pipeline, getting the information on how to move real estate, how to sell it, buy it. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
with the mortgage, working with mortgages, a lot of people don't know where you actually come into play, right? They just normally reach out to a realtor. I mean, I could be saying that from
Yeah.
my vantage point. I'm not very seasoned in it, but they maybe just reach out to a realtor and then
Yeah.
they got to get pre-qualified or they come already pre-qualified. So
Yeah.
where do you come into like let's say the buyer's journey?
Yeah.
Where would you recommend it, or what do you normally see in the industry? Like, how's that working
Yeah.
out?
What generally the norm is, like customers, they'll reach out to a realtor. Typically, not always, but everyone knows a realtor. There's so many licensed real estate agents around the
Mm.
country. That usually, if you don't have someone in your family, there's someone, a friend of a family that is licensed. If you so happen to reach out to a realtor, that realtor usually has a professional relationship with the lender. You'll be referred to a lender, and that's when the actual pre-qualification financially, that process starts. Get pre-approved, and that's when the home shopping starts. So typically, to answer your question again, it's can start with the realtor, but it doesn't have to. I think it's just a lot of real estate professionals that everyone knows.
Yeah, yeah. So they kind of like more on the front line or
Yeah,
front
yeah,
facing. Yeah.
yeah, for
But
sure.
so tell us about the importance of the relationship with the mortgage lender, right? So when people go in to get pre-approved or find out what they're qualified for, like what is
Yeah.
that relationship is like? What are you talking to them about? What are what are the guidelines, like you said, that you're showing them? Like, when you're
Yeah.
showing them the ropes, what's the things you're
Yeah.
running down?
Yeah. So for me, my process is just making things as simple as possible. You and I spoke a few times about my just intention to detail with business and just understanding the relationship of creditors and community,
Mm,
creditors and minority communities. And I think just generally, minority or not, creditors don't always have the best relationship with just the customer, the consumer. So for me, making things simple, keeping things honest, and just giving them that roadmap up front.
mhm.
So you know from day one, this is where we're starting now, but this is how we're going to be successful. So it's clear, it's concise. I don't like to use, at least as much as possible, not like a lot of mortgage jargon. It becomes a little intimidating from my experience.
Yeah.
So I try to keep things simple. Mhm.
So once you break things down for them and you make it simple, they start to understand which way they're going and what success looks like for them as far as getting approved. What are some of the questions that you get? Like, what's the most popular questions or top questions you get around credit, mortgage lending, home loans, things like that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's two big questions that I get probably 5, 10 times a day is how much money do I as a consumer need to put down to purchase a home? And that second question is what's the minimum credit score do I need to become approvable or to become eligible for a home? Down payment requirements are not that much money, to be honest. Minimum 3 to 3.5% down for first time buyers.
Okay.
All right. And then I'll say this. A lot of folks think that you need to have 20, 25% down. That's just not correct. Unless you're investing on investment properties, that's not correct. You don't need that much money. For credit score requirements, you typically want at least a 620, 640. However, FHA being one of the mortgage programs that will take as low as a 580 credit score. So you don't have to have great credit. You just
Mhm.
have to show a likeliness that you're going to pay your bills on time going forward.
Got you. And if you got to talk to people about their credit, that's pretty sensitive for a lot of people. So
Yeah,
how do you help them navigate that? Like
yeah, yeah,
it must be some kind of like maybe just more of an empathetic approach, I imagine,
yeah,
because it's a touchy thing for a lot of people.
yeah, 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 yeah. That process, I like to make the process as human as possible, and just one letting them know that I'm a consumer as well. Like a lot
Hmm.
of financial mistakes, or maybe not the best decisions that folks have made financially. I've also done it. I'll still continue to do it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But regardless of where you come from, whatever your context is, I want to be empathetic, but I also want to just be transparent, let you know that if you have a collection, if you have a bankruptcy in the past, don't can come back from that. There's guidelines, there's just processes put in place specifically for everybody. And in this business, there's a lot of people doing really big things with either not a lot of money or just not the best credit. So home purchasing is not for just for people that have 800 credit scores and
Yeah.
$200,000 in the bank. It's literally for everybody.
So this is funny, but have you ever had to talk somebody down from a property or a loan that they thought they should get so they can get a certain type of home or invest in a certain type of property?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the time, honestly. And I try not to put myself personally into their shoes and try not to make decisions for them.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm giving you the keys to drive every time.
Okay.
But if Q is looking for a $500,000, but he only makes X amount of money, let's just say his debt ratio is exceeding loan guidelines, and honestly, you only can qualify for maybe 300,000. That conversation, I like to be empathetic. I like to be sensitive,
Mhm.
but I have to be transparent and let you know, like, I don't advise going to shopping tomorrow for that $500,000 home. It's going to come with quite a few hurdles that I just don't think that you want to put yourself through.
Yeah, yeah. So what are some of the things you would tell people to bring? Like if they want to start the process, let's say I want to start I'm coming, I know who my realtor is, but they're like, yo, Quintel, go get
Yeah,
pre-approved. If I'm coming straight to your office, I know you. I'm like, all right, yo, I want to come. Let's talk. Can we talk about a mortgage? What do I need to bring? Because some people like to be prepared ahead of time,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then I want to save anybody that's listening to this, right? Because mostly people listening to this are aspiring entrepreneurs or already
yeah,
have a business and they may be working with a couple of dollars. What do they need to bring to the table first? Like, yo, I already got my stuff situated, so they don't have to worry
yeah.
about being blindsided. What they need.
Yeah, yeah. For folks that's just your average home buyer is always going to be the last 30 days of pay stubs, last 2 years of W-2 forms, last 2 months of bank statements. For my business owners, tax returns are going to be like really important, meaning that you want to have filed at least the last 2 years of tax return.
Okay.
Tax returns are going to serve as your pay stub, in other words. So that is how we verify that the business is still active. It's been in place for at least 2 years, and then we're going to just look at those profit of what you filed taxes on the money that you made.
Nice, nice. Yeah, a lot of another guest previously talked a lot about handling your books and your taxes and things right for people who
Yeah,
have businesses. So you
that's,
gotta have
yeah,
gotta have those tax returns. So there
yeah,
you go. If
yeah.
you're listening now, that's what you need.
Yeah, and I'll add to that with returns for lending. We don't just look at gross profits. We look at net.
Okay.
After the write off, after the expenses, the net on your Schedule C. That's what we're looking at, regardless if you're a business owner or 1099. So it's obviously most common to just write everything off to avoid tax liability.
Mm,
Probably shouldn't be saying this. But lenders, we have to go by the net and not the gross. That's usually where it gets people in trouble.
yeah.
For 1099 business owner, I always advise if you're looking to buy a home, let's get together at least a year beforehand so we can kind of structure those taxes appropriately and make sure that you can be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there times like are you proactive in telling people like this is a good time to buy depending on how the market is going? Does that come from you or would that come from a realtor?
I think it come from both, honestly. I think realtors, really good realtors, are known to be good at advertising inventory, whether there's just a lot of great product on the market or if there's new construction going on in like a hot area. And for me, I try to stay in my lane. I'm more so talking about rates. I'm talking about products. I'm talking about new incentives, regardless if it's Baltimore City or PG County, DC, etc. So
Mhm.
that's usually how it can go, but it can come from either or.
All right, so tell me what are some of the areas or incentives? What are the things that's popping right now in
Yeah,
the mortgage space? Whether it's a product that helps person buy a home, or if you know of some areas that's like kind of coming up where you're seeing a lot more opportunity to, buy
yeah,
homes or buy investment properties.
yeah, yeah. Right now, it's a little bit of everything. I think there's a lot of niche products, I would say, because rates are still relatively high compared to maybe the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Affordability is hard. It's hard to afford homes right now, especially the homes that most people are used to being able to afford. So
Okay.
renovation products are hot. Um, we call it rate buy down products. Is where you can buy your rate down for increase in closing costs. So you'll get the lower rate if you're willing to pay upfront an extra closing costs,
Okay.
which again resolves their problem of higher mortgage payment. Things like that. Things that are usually able to resolve upfront conflict with inflation in the market right now.
Okay. So for somebody that doesn't understand that, right? You
Yeah.
saying if I have more money, if I just so happen to have more cash and I
hmm
pay more upfront, does closing costs go towards the property or is that like I never understood who benefits from
Yeah.
closing costs? It goes to the seller?
Yeah, so closing costs is for the most part it's third party fees. All right, so
Okay.
closing costs just straight on buying any house, no matter the state, no matter county, etc. It's going to be your appraisal costs, your process underwriting fees, your title insurance. These are third party charges, not the
Okay.
lender, typically not the realtor. All right, this is not also separate from your down payment. All
Okay.
right, so with that rate buy down incentive or product that we talked about is pretty much if the going rate today is maybe 6.3, all right, with Q's credit score, you're going to get a 6.3 interest rate for the next 30 years. If Q say, I got an extra $10,000, how low can I get this rate if I don't want that 6.3? I
Mhm.
tell you, say, Q, I can take this maybe $10,000 and let's just try to get you a 5.3, all right,
Okay.
for an extra $10,000 on top of your closing costs. So essentially, that's how it works.
Got you. Good. I think that's great info to know for people that may have more cash or just if you actually if you're just really dying to buy in this climate. But
Yeah,
speaking about this climate, like I don't watch the news, but I stay abreast of like they say, the news relevant to you is gonna find you. And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not home buying, but I hear the news about the idea floating out there in the US for a 50-year mortgage. Have you seen that?
I've seen it, man. I don't
What's your
know.
thoughts about that? Because you're a pro, you in the game. Like tell us what you
Yeah,
think about that.
yeah. I haven't paid, to be honest, I haven't paid too much attention to it because it's always so much stuff going on. And I don't know, honestly, like for me, it's not real until like things are signed and it's like put on my desk.
Yeah,
But like the idea of a 50-year mortgage, I do see the pros, but I also see the cons. From a con perspective, you're paying a lot more interest. You're taking a lot more time to develop the equity. The equity is pretty much the margin of where people's wealth is. The pro is obviously you're getting probably the same house for a cheaper mortgage, and obviously that can solve a lot of people's issues right now.
yeah, and that's what it seems like. It seems like a short-term fix for a long-term product or long-term investment.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's not always a good thing. So like if that would have happened, this is me just guessing. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm
yeah.
trying to steal the info from you by posing it as a question. If I
Sure, for
signed a
sure.
50-year mortgage, right, I might still should approach it like I'm going to pay it in 30 years. That way I could get more equity or have more value in my
Yeah,
house, right?
yeah, yeah. I always advise that, bro. If you have the cash, and if this becomes a thing, just treat it like a 30 year. I tell my clients treat your 30 year like a 20 year or a 15 year.
Hmm.
Sooner you can get done with this debt, the sooner you can free yourself up to make some other like power play moves.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because the power play move, right? People talk about, some people think that buying a home is, it's the biggest investment for most people.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, then some people like buying a home is not a good idea.
Yeah,
You should rent.
yeah,
And I think I'm guessing that it depends on the person's situation. Do you have any, is it one way or
yeah.
the other, or you think it kind of just applies to the situation?
I think it applies to the person, and where you're at. What are your goals? I know a ton of like rich people that don't, honestly. But I can also say that a lot of the like big time millionaires, billionaires, they have their hand in real estate in some form or fashion. They may not be a landlord of 1,000 rentals across the world. Maybe they own a commercial building that's doing really well. Maybe they own a movie theater. You know what I mean? The real estate is in some form of some there is in their business some form of fashion. So it's honestly, for me, my opinion, it's hard to get around it. As you continue to scale, eventually you do. I would think you would want to own space, and
Yeah.
kind of control and dictate your margins in a bigger, much bigger form.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. So another guest talked about it.
Yeah,
It's something that a lot of people don't think about when they have businesses like you and not. Well, you might work out of an office, but
yeah,
we work from home sometimes. And let's
hmm,
say our business from our home-based business is growing.
yeah,
Instead of going to a shared workspace or a cafe,
yeah,
he was like, buy the building that your office is going to be in,
yeah, yeah,
because that's just like, franchising or not franchising, but if you
yeah,
have some kind of brick and mortar store, instantly you think about brick and mortar because I need a storefront, I need, a restaurant space. But for somebody who does a knowledge worker or you work in an office and you doing loans or anything or
yeah,
consulting,
yeah,
if you buy the building that your office is in,
yeah,
now, like you said, it's more of a power play. You
yeah,
get to leverage more, you get more,
yeah,
longer term benefits, and you can rent your space. And, I guess it's different plays, but I never thought about it from that type of business stand. Like maybe you
yeah,
think about just getting money, then you go invest in properties, but you can
yeah.
really just buy a property that you use. So, but that would be commercial lending though, right?
Yeah, yeah. Typically, that would be commercial. Like far as units, anything above 4 units,
Hmm.
5 units or more is considered commercial. Anything that's just not structured with the characteristics of a place that's livable is
Yeah,
generally considered commercial.
got
Yeah,
it, got it.
owning space is everything, bro.
Yeah,
This is where my bias comes in.
okay.
Just owning space. For me, I just love the idea of just dictating space. And regardless if it's going to be a rental for residential property today or 5 years from now, you just turn it into a whatever. I don't know, cafe or whatever the case may be. Like
Yep.
the options become limited. And if you own it, you get to dictate that. There's tax incentives. For me, I believe there's stakeholdership in the community. I think you also get to help dictate the value of the community
Mhm.
from ownership that lends. So it's a lot of different things. I advise it heavily.
Nice. I like that. The thinking about, I'm always a fan of ownership and control, right?
Mhm.
Even if it's not you buying a house, but ownership and control and dictating the community, the value of the community.
Yeah.
That's something that we overlook in our community. And that from what I hear and what I talk to some people about,
Mhm.
that is kind of lower down the list of benefits that come along with owning property. Like
Yeah.
you get to like have a stake in what happens in this community now. Like you're a part of the homeowners association, or you can
Yeah.
join the community board, and now you can have. This is a place where your vote matters, right? And it's not about being exclusive, like keeping people out. But if you come in and you taking care of stuff, you can determine who your neighbors are going to be because you and the rest of the neighbors got common interests. All the houses on this block cost a certain amount. Oh, we need better roads. We all can just put in a phone call. Then that pothole fixed. Like you had more control when you're investing in that way. But yeah, thanks for that insight, man. I hope people learned a bit just now about that, man. You got to assume the responsibility that comes with the ownership,
Yeah,
right, on a personal
absolutely.
level.
It's so important. And even like you said, if you don't want to own a home, I think there's avenues where you can still dictate value in your neighborhoods and your community. But yeah, I think owning real estate is just one big way to get there a little quicker.
Yeah, yeah. But speaking of ownership, let's talk about owning your brand and your presence and how you show up, right? Because you
Good.
do that exceptionally well. And I know I
Thank you.
compliment you on it all the time, but it's something that's worth being acknowledged because I know people look and they see it and it just adds so much more credibility
Yeah.
based on how you present and created the mortgage gentleman, right? It's an extension of yourself. It's not like a fake character or it's not like you fronting as if you're somebody else. It's actually an extension of how you present yourself. So tell me how you came about that, how you
Yeah.
built the mortgage gentleman and infused your personal style in it.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, bro. It's always like good affirmation when I hear someone like tells me that. When I got into business 6 years ago, whatever, I knew that I wasn't going to be like the majority of my peers that's already
Mhm.
officers. I knew that that didn't fit my temperature. It didn't vibe with my personality. A lot of the loan officers that we probably have the idea, the image in your mind is the navy blue suit, white shirt, red tie,
Yep.
and that you probably rarely see them unless you go into a bank, right? For me, my personality, I like to be in the field. I like to rub shoulders with the people. I like
Mm,
community. And then also, I knew I was going to be judged regardless. I'm 6'8", black man, of
mhm.
course. I knew that I don't look like my peers just starting out.
Yep.
So if I can give you hopefully a good opinion before you actually speak to me, give you something to think about, positive. I think that will work in my favor. Hopefully, it's been working.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't overlook that, man. As we get older, the dynamics have changed in like when it comes to what does growing up look like for black men in our community, right? And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
always talk about Jim Jones for still dressing like a YN. And to some degree, I actually understand like that's literally been his way of life. And he
Yeah,
was able to call his shots on what he do and where he go and how he get to show up
yeah,
earlier in his life than
yeah,
most black men. He
yeah,
didn't have to be professional at all. He was always going to do whatever he wanted.
yeah.
So whether you like it or not, I don't necessarily think it's wrong for what Jim
Okay.
Jones
Yeah,
does. But if you're moving in the professional space, you still got to be able to perform, or you still got to be able to showcase to who the audience is and make sense.
yeah,
You're asking somebody to invest probably the most money they ever going to spend in their life on
yeah,
one thing,
yeah,
right? And so you want to show up trustworthy,
yeah,
but there's no rules to say you can't show up the way that you want to be,
yeah,
and wear the
yeah,
things you want in a way that it still fits
yeah,
what you have. So are
yeah.
you laying your clothes out on the bed and iron that junk before you post your pictures or
Every day, bro. Every day. And
That's what
honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, if I worked at McDonald's, I would still be starching my pants. I would still be creasing my pants. I would still, hopefully, I can polish my shoes. I think it's just it is a part of my lifestyle at this point. And with this business that I'm in, this real estate and mortgage business, I think there's boundaries where I try not to go too far, but I just try to be myself at the end of the day. Like I said, hopefully people accept it. I know that it doesn't make everyone happy, but if I can develop a business, if I can become successful off of just being myself, that's like I can't ask for more.
Well, that's what it's really all about. I'm glad you brought that up. Like I seen somebody posted on Threads yesterday, build a business where you can be you. One of the
Yeah,
people I follow online a lot, it's a guy named Sean Perry. He's a Indian guy, or his family's Indian, and he has a really popular podcast called My First Million. So I don't know if you ever seen
yeah,
it, but it's kind of like more in the
yeah,
tech bro space. And he said he got this from someone. Sean is really great at storytelling, and he said he got this from somebody else. But he said the best product, the best business is just you pushed out, and I think that now that entrepreneurship is far more like a buzzword and way more popular.
yeah,
That's really the space most people want to be in. You
yeah,
pushed out. And
yeah,
so being self-employed is different from entrepreneurship, but what they both have in common that I'm coming more, becoming understand more and more. It's really about owning whatever it is that you do, like
yeah,
owning your job, right?
yeah.
So, if you
That's it,
have
bro. That's it.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, you
it.
want to own that. You want to own your job. Like I don't think it's a bad. You hear people say all the time, like, or the business coaches or whoever, they might say something like, don't create a job for yourself. I'm
Yeah,
like, that's just called self-employment. I'd rather own my job than possibly than having a job I don't like, doing something that I don't want to do for a
yeah,
pay that I don't feel like is worth what I'm, doing. But you pushed out, and that's what I see with the mortgage gentleman, right? And it also it does speak to what you said about I'm not I'm comfortable being behind the scenes. So you
yeah.
can kind of still see that, like, yeah, you give a good presentation and you got great imagery, but it's not super in your face. It really is like you pushed out. So that's why I say you did such a great job of it.
Yeah, thank you, bro. That means a lot coming from you, man. Because you've indulged in some like signature branding moments from what I've seen over the last, I would say, 6 7 years. Because I've seen you and I've
Hmm.
seen your business before, well before we've even met. And
Okay,
there's like
thank you.
certain there's pivotal moments socially that I've seen your brand, whether it's in East Baltimore or a friend have said your name, and you know what I mean. I recognize this gentleman. I don't know, still don't know exactly who he is or like what's his personality type, but it's like, okay, I see what he's doing. He's clearly intentional with his branding. And for me, I always enjoy when like business owners romance like their branding in a way. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
about I think about, you name them. You name the artist, you name the business owner. Like everyone, I think, has like a signature look, a signature brand, a logo that, like, regardless if you see it
hmm,
in America or if you've seen it in China, you know exactly who that is.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's what it. I think that's a big part of it, Greg. We really got to be able to not be authentic, but like you said, you have like signature moments, taste,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
having taste, having soul. Like we don't want to ever lose that in
yeah,
our business, no matter what our profession is, who we're around. We want to be able to still maintain like our soul and
yeah,
so that's important. I think that's important for us building businesses,
for
and
sure.
even if we're working within somebody else's business, you still want to have that within your business, within how you manage your business, because it attracts the right people, the right clients, and it allows you to build and grow
Yeah,
in a way that you feel comfortable. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
I felt like we had to touch on that because I'm gonna drop all your info in here. People gonna go to your Instagram page and be like, oh, this is different, and now I'm understanding, even more. So that's
Yeah,
great. And so we're talking about soul, we're talking about things that they can't take away from us, but everybody's talking about what AI is going to take away from us, which
yeah.
could be jobs. So that's how some people feel. I'm not as pessimistic about it, but how do you see it impacting the real estate industry, the mortgage and loan industry? How is it working on your side?
On our side, I'm seeing it's placement more so with marketing.
Hmm.
I use it in my CRM system. I use it in just day-to-day scripts and email templates that I'm sending out to clientele.
Got you.
I'm using it more of a enhancer for vocabulary, as opposed to just 100% relying on AI. I do think, at least for me, I'm not an expert at AI yet, but I still want to keep that human experience. So I am using it just to enhance, just to kind of make sure I'm staying sharp. But yeah, yeah, it's been good so far.
Let me tell you about an idea I just thought about, and there may be some form of this already. So,
Okay.
what's the name of the company you work with?
Fairway Mortgage.
Yeah, we got to throw that in there so they know who to look for in case
Absolutely.
they looking you up.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, Fairway may have this, and other brands or businesses may have this. So, you talked about the top two questions you get: how much money do I need to have to put down, and minimum credit score. So, they may have like credit score calculators on some of the websites.
Mhm.
They do.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah, because like that's a tool that I think you or anybody else in the real estate or mortgage industry could use. And with AI, the rules change. Like on the back end of that tool, you just
Yeah,
change what the score can get you, right?
yeah,
So if you got and it could do all the calculation for you. So like you don't have to wait for somebody to come to your office and say, "This is how much I got. This is what my credit score is." And now
yeah,
we got to do. You can actually let them put it in there self
yeah,
and let AI just do the calculation for you. And also, you
yeah,
can add like one of those sliding gauges and be like,
yeah,
you make more money and the AI can just calculate it for you because it's based on numbers, so it's like a hard set
right.
of rules. And I think a lot of lenders, if they don't have that, hopefully they listen to this and they
Yeah,
could use it. It's one less thing. For one, I think it would allow you to empower the buyer
yeah,
ahead of time,
yeah,
and then it gives you a little more cachet because they gave me the tool. They already knew what I was thinking. Greg already
yeah,
knew what I was thinking.
yeah,
He clearly know the game, right? Because he helped me figure out this using this tool. So that was
yeah,
something I just thought about. But I think it's great that you're using it and that you realize like it's helping you enhance. I think enhancer is a really, really great way to put it. It's not replacing anything you're doing, it's just enhancing your
yeah.
communication. So I commend that. I like that.
Thank you.
Do your coworkers or do they talk about how they plan to use it at all going forward, like in your industry?
Yeah. So we've started simulating how to use AI to calculate like just variable income, what we call it, like just income that changes from month to month or year to year.
Hmm.
AI, we just started kind of testing it out just to see what is it doing. It's still not formal from an underwriting perspective. Underwriting are still not using it just full on with for that. But as loan officers, my team, I know for sure we just been kind of dibbling dabbling, testing it out.
Yeah.
And it's been working. It's been working. To give you a quick example, more context. So we have clients in Baltimore City that work at the port. Maybe they work as a trade electrician. They're hourly union folks that don't work the same amount of hours every week, right? So just naturally, that's really hard to calculate their income because it's not straightforward. It's not a $100,000 salary where you're getting paid the same amount every paycheck.
Yeah.
So submitting a year-end pay stub, how much you made last year versus how much you make year to date this year, AI has been successful thus far, in my experience, in calculating that income, and it saves me a lot of time. Now I do fact check it, but it's saving me a lot of time. It's proven that this could maybe be a thing going forward.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Because saving time and speed, especially when you're dealing with, if you're dealing with like a bunch of different clients, you have different meetings and things like that. You don't want to have to use your time to crunch numbers for that type of
Yeah,
thing. So yeah,
yeah,
having those tools are really good, man. So is there
yeah.
anything interesting you might want to share about the real estate space or the mortgage space for anybody who
Yeah,
wants to get in the game? They're thinking about being a mortgage lender. Now that you have
yeah,
5+ years
yeah,
experience, so something that look out for somebody that might be thinking about it.
yeah. I say if you're interested in a very entrepreneurial, intense environment, if that's someone, if that's you, if that's something that you enjoy, consider it. It's rejection intent, just like probably every other entrepreneurial
Hmm.
activity. But this can be one. It can be life changing in terms of like how you live your life, your lifestyle, but you can also change your family's lifestyle. And I'm not just talking about just monetarily, but I think just the information. I can firsthand speak to how my parents look at money. My parents look at real estate and using real estate as a vehicle as opposed to just more of a flex, if that makes sense.
So they were kind of into the real estate space. You learned something from them, or you could just see the difference between how they do it and how you do it now.
I see the difference between my entry into this business and
Okay.
allowing information that I've learned, I've gathered, and then kind of like passing it on to them. So, i.e., refinance market was like an explosion in COVID. Rates were
Yeah.
low. Both of my parents were able to refinance to get lower rates. Now they're saving money on their monthly payment. I'm also seeing just how they're just aware, just like how the monthly market ups and downs and how that's dictating where they put their money. You know what I mean? And how they're
Okay.
planning for. Neither one of them want to be like super landlords or anything like that, but I'm just noticing a difference in how they just look at real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. You got the inside track. Like it kind of opened up your
Exactly.
view of how you see it. Yeah. That
Exactly.
I like that. I like that. Cause and then you can also teach up, right? You can teach up to your parents or anybody older, and because you
Exactly.
got so much trust, then you can teach down to people who are new to the game.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that puts you in a good space, man. So
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to share? Like anything you got coming up or
Mhm.
anything you think people need to know about? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say anyone in the DMV specifically, this is a good
Oh, you didn't
time.
say what where are you licensed?
Yeah, so DC, Maryland, Virginia, soon, New Jersey,
Okay,
soon.
nice.
But specifically the DMV, if you're listening, if you're interested in buying, don't be hesitant because of the market, or try not to let this market dictate any motivation to purchase real estate. It's
Yeah.
a good time. I don't think there's ever a great time to purchase real estate per se. There's always
Mhm.
going to be something. When there's high rates, there's typically more inventory. Typically, when there's low rates, there's typically not a lot of inventory because the demand is going to be more. It's going to be more buyers. So the market it goes up and down. There's always going to be something that is going to cause a concern for people in Baltimore. I would ask and just encourage folks to consider like just get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
I consider Baltimore one of the last cities on the East Coast, especially that hasn't been mass gentrified. So if you can get a piece of the pie, get it now or get it later, but get it at some point and just take care of it before before folks out of town get it, before major developers get it, and you'll be paying the cost of waiting is what we call it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you paying what some people call it the price of ignorance or the dummy tax
Yeah,
by not doing it sooner than later. So
for
I had
sure.
my fair share of the dummy tax, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
All
same
right,
here.
Greg.
Same here, bro.